All right. Hello there. My name is Andy T. I use he, him, his pronouns. I'm a lecturer on the Ann Arbor campus at University of Michigan. I teach in the Stamp School of Art and Design. My video is off just because my internet where I currently am isn't great. But what I'd like to sort of share today is some thoughts from my perspective as a lecturer and someone who's active within the union, the Lecturers Employee Organization, and some of the concerns that folks have had. And just to point out some experiences sort of from the ground view of how the semester has been going. I do want to say that, I'm not speaking on behalf of Leo. I'm not an elected official. I'm just an activist who participates in Leo's own COVID caucus. So here's some of what I have prepared, and then I might add some ad hoc comments at the end. So I believe that the university administration and President Schlissel in particular have never really taken the COVID-19 pandemic seriously. Instead of having proactive policies that are truly public health informed, the so-called leaders in the best instead dawdle and delay, looking sideways at peer institutions to get a read of what they can get away with, while leaving our campus community with inadequate policies. There's no transparency, and thus there is no trust. Admin have not demonstrated that they actually listen to students, faculty, and staff, and so there's no trust. We were told time and time again that there's no transmission in the classroom. There's no transmission in the classroom. Did admin ever explain to us how they know that there is no transmission of COVID in the classroom? No. Then recently, President Schlissel finally changed his tune at the Faculty Senate meeting 2 Mondays ago and admitted that no transmission is occurring as far as we know. So he finally admitted that they don't know, and they've been crossing their fingers, hoping for the best this whole time. The administration of the university has been relying on the individual fears and anxieties of faculty, students, and staff to ensure that their policies function at all. Since the moment in-person instruction began in fall of 2020, I have never once been asked to show my Responsible Blue health screening check to anyone to enter the art and architecture building where I work to do my job of teaching. I interact with 60 students a day, and there have been times in the past that I've gotten halfway through my day of teaching and then realized, oh, you know what? I forgot to do the Responsible Blue screening test. And it's very easy to forget to do that because there's no one checking to see that myself or my students, staff members, that anyone is doing it. I've been teaching in person last fall and this fall, and it just feels like a joke to me. Since this semester began, I have been getting tested through the community testing program, which has been a real challenge since the testing sites closest to my classrooms the testing ends at the same time that my class is scheduled to end, the last class of the day. I teach 3 classes back to back. You're not supposed to eat right before your test, and so I'm not able to go do the testing during my lunch break. So 1 day a week for the length of this semester so far, I've been ending my last class of the day a little early so that way I can run over the testing site before they close. And at least once I've missed my opportunity to get tested. And those of you that have been doing the saliva tests, after a day of talking and scurrying across campus, it's very hard to generate the amount of saliva necessary. And I mentioned the lack of trust earlier. Another thing that really is sort of has stuck with me is the community sampling and tracking program is done via saliva testing provided by Lynx DX, a startup company founded as an offshoot of the University of Michigan. Do you remember in the summer of 2020 when President Schlissel claimed that the large number of saliva tests occurring on other campuses like University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, he said that those tests weren't as reliable. So they sort of lacked, instead of giving broad testing in the summer and the lead up to fall of 2020, we didn't have broad testing. So it was only after the GEO and RA strike for a safe campus that more testing of students came through the form of a saliva test. And I thought President Schlissel didn't like saliva tests. What makes this one different? Oh, right. It's U of M affiliated. So the pride in the university and maintaining the university's prestige and brand is more important than ensuring the safety of our campus communities and the communities within which our campuses reside. It's admin approaches like these that perpetuate a lack of trust in the integrity of the university's policies and decisions. What is upsetting is how the instituting a vaccine mandate has been treated as a panacea by this administration. With what Professor Atzman just described, that just because we're a highly vaccinated campus does not mean that the disease is not spreading. And maybe it'll be a light case for this person or that person, but it ensures that the disease lives on, it continues to mutate, and it has the potential to kill. So with this institution of the vaccine mandate, if you look at the response of blue, when you remember to fill it out, because again, for me, no one's ever checking, it says on the response of blue app that if you've had close contact with someone who's contracted COVID-19 in the past 14 days, guess what? It doesn't count as close contact. You don't need to report it to anyone. You can go to work. You can interact with students. Students can go to class as long as we're vaccinated and asymptomatic. We know that the virus spreads asymptomatically. I'm getting really frustrated with the virus. I would like for us to work collectively to minimize the impact of it and minimize the spread. This university is explicitly complicit in the perpetuation of this disease that we're being told now that we need to learn to live with it. I do not believe U of M admin has ever not committed to simply giving up and learning to live with the disease, merely relying on our institution's elitism and classism to keep us afloat. The last few things I'll say, thinking about as a lecturer, what has Leo, the union, been doing about COVID? There's a number of things that go on sort of behind the scenes through impact bargaining and weekly sort of meetings with our grievance committee and the university academic HR about individualized issues as they come up. And of course, there's been some activity through our most recent collective bargaining campaign. We just got our tentative agreement and ratified it a few weeks ago. We're still in the midst of proofreading it before things sort of are able to be fully instituted. But again, I'm here just as a lecturer, not as an official rep of Leo. I'm active with the COVID caucus, but I got to be honest, the Leo's COVID caucus has not met recently since the semester began. And I know there are a number of folks who've participated in the COVID caucus, Leo's COVID caucus, who've become very disheartened by the negotiations process and the fact that policies that we would like to see instituted that are really important, that save lives, might get winnowed down because we're having to bargain over keeping people safe, keeping people employed, and also making sure that the jobs that people have are worth, that one can survive on. So there's a lot of different things going on within Leo. A few things that I will note with our collective bargaining agreement is we have provided opportunities for lecturers to, if their childcare falls through and they have their children with them, in the past, pre-COVID, their options were to either cancel class or bring your kid to work day. No parent wants to do that now in COVID. And so there's now the potential that in lieu of canceling a class, lecturers can now opt to teach remotely in a temporary period. But that's also a case-by-case basis. It's not sort of set and established as to how long that can happen. Also, there's been some expansion of extended medical leave. There are a few lecturers that in lieu of teaching this semester, with notes from their physicians, going to work connections saying, oh, I need to teach remotely, and then being denied either by work connections or being denied by their dean with the ability to teach remotely. Their only other option is to just not teach at all this semester. So we do have some expanded protections for people with medical leave. There are things like that going on, but in general, there's a real sickening feeling amongst a lot of lecturers, knowing that the intention is that for the winter semester, we're going to be even more in person than we currently are. President Schlissel has talked about the possibility that maybe soon we won't have to wear masks at all in class. And the last thing I'll say, observing the faculty senate meeting where President Schlissel gave his address, and he complained about his glasses fogging up while wearing a mask addressing a group of people. And that was so offensive to me, as if he's been operating this whole time not wearing a mask while talking to people, and he hasn't figured out how to put his mask on properly so his glasses don't fog up. And that just shows a total lack of understanding what teachers do day in and day out, and what our students have to do day in and day out. And he then tells everyone, oh, there's a policy. If you're giving public address, you don't have to wear a mask. And that was shocking to me. I didn't know we had a policy that if you're more than 12 feet away addressing a group of people, you can just take your mask off. But he said, oh, no, you still have to do that if you're teaching. What about the teachers who are addressing a large group of people and they're more than 12 feet away? I just feel like the wires are crossed. I'm so confused and frustrated. And it's really hard for me and many lecturers to trust this university and any of their policies. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for listening.